it'll hurt, and it'll hurt big time. We had our chances. After the Perth test, it did feel like that this team could again script a miracle. But again, even after Adelaide, I wasn't too bothered. Everybody smashed everybody once. 1-1 going into Gabba, and we all knew going into Gabba that it was going to be rain affected. But I mean, still the lack of application in batting did hurt us in that game as well. And I think it was nothing short of a miracle when Akashdeep and Bumrah saved you from follow on, and it was a moment to celebrate because given the situation you were in, it was obviously a relief, to have avoided the follow on, and I think the celebration in the dressing room were justified. And going into Melbourne with 1-1, you kind of knew that Australia had been dominating you, but you didn't let them win, and that was a moral victory in itself. But I think going into Melbourne, I think India should have at least drawn the game there because it's not like you didn't have any chances in Melbourne. You restricted Australia 311 for 6. Then you let their tails score the run, and they smashed you for 474. And even when you were batting, you were cruising at 150 for no loss. But then that freak run out happened. Then a lapse of concentration and Virat Kohli losing his wicket, and then that sort of put India back towards the end of day's play. But then again, Nitish Reddy and Washington Sundar rescued you the very next day. Nitish Kumar Reddy hit a century, Washington Sundar hit a 50, and their resilience brought you back into the game. And when we kind of knew that if India bowls well in the second innings, then it's game on. Then India will be in the driver's seat and they could probably win the game from there on. But even when we had Australians by their neck at 91 for 6, I think Rohit Sharma didn't press enough. I think he should have had a more attacking field instead of just opening the field for the tailenders. And I mean, even when you had them for about 270 for 9, I'm talking about the lead. You simply could not have foreseen their you know 10th wicket partnership going for 60 runs. And I think that's what cost India the match, because if you eliminate those 60 runs, the target would have been 280 or 270ish, and I think that could have been chased. That could have been chased in four and a half sessions. So I think India missed a trick there. They had their chances, they didn't take them. And yes, I honestly thought that when that partnership happened, for me, the Melbourne game was kind of lost there itself. And even on the next day when we were 33 for 3, and then Rishabh Pant and Yashasvi Jaiswal played that session, wicketless, it had brought back some hopes, and I was starting to think that maybe this game would end in a draw, because you've had a wicketless session, you go into the last session with 7 wickets in hand, and the pitch was a flat track, and yeah, it was a draw. It was a certain draw, but then we collapsed. It happened again, and yeah, I think when that sort of 10th wicket partnership happened, I kind of knew that we won't be winning this game. But I think that last session in Melbourne, that was brutal. That was brutal, and I think it hurt more than this Sydney test, because I think when Australia went 2-1 up, I kind of knew that maybe India will not be able to retain it. Yes, I had my hopes. I was obviously hoping that you know Team India goes out, puts on a performance like they did in Perth, and retain the Border Gavaskar Trophy. But I, I don't know. A part of me knew that when that MCG test happened, uh, that maybe this series will end in a loss, and that's exactly what happened. And yeah, I think even in the Sydney test we were in it. We took a lead after the first innings. Our batters again didn't apply themselves, but again the pitch was playing its own tricks. And if Rishabh Pant could play that sort of an innings, and Yashasvi Jaiswal could give you that start, why couldn't Sundar and Jadeja, press on the accelerator and give you a few 40 or 50 more runs to put the pressure on the Aussies, knowing you weren't gonna have Bumrah. So I don't know. India had their chances and they just didn't take them. Melbourne test, I think every day in the Boxing Day test, it gave you opportunities. You failed to cash in on them. And yeah, Australia went 2-1 up. Even going into Sydney, we had hopes that India would be able to win this match somehow. regain the Border Gavaskar Trophy, and even I think on the last day, when we had them for 58-3, I was still hoping against hope that maybe this team can turn things around, you know, get us the victory. But then everything just went south, and questions will need to be asked. Obviously, they've been asked of Rohit Sharma. There's pretty much to talk about him, but I think you should also point fingers at Virat Kohli and Gautam Gambhir, especially Gautam Gambhir. I know we've been raising our fingers at Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli since the New Zealand series, but I think Gautam Gambhir is sort of being sidelined, and I think that should stop now because it's been 8 Test matches and we've only won one game, and that's just not it. It's not a fitting end to such a promising WTC cycle because you drew a series in South Africa, you won against England at home without your key players, and that England series did remind me of the Border Gavaskar Trophy that happened in 2020. Then you smashed, of course, Bangladesh. You had previously beaten West Indies at their home. And going into the New Zealand series, we were pretty certain that we would win that series 3-0, but then the unthinkable happened. The unimaginable happened. Something that had never happened in cricket history before happened. And it rocked our world. It quite literally rocked our world. And going into Australia, everybody had their doubts that maybe, given the form of our top players, given the recent results, maybe we'll lose this series, or at best it would be a draw. But that win in Perth gave you belief, gave you confidence. But then again, things started to go south, and I think even in the MCG test, you had, I think, MCG test. I think I had been saying this when the test started, that MCG test was sort of the deciding test. That whoever wins that game would sort of go on to have their hold over the series, and that's exactly what happened. Australia won that game, and now they've won the series, and now they have also got themselves a place in the World Test Championship against South Africa. And and India would have to wait 2 more years to even have a shot to play in the WTC finals. And I think even if India manages to qualify for the WTC final in 2027, you'd see a completely changed squad. And I think the biggest question right now should be, who's your next Test captain? Yes, logically it should be Bumrah, but I don't know, maybe it could be somebody else for the time being, because he's injury prone, as we all know, and he deserves to be the next Test captain. But I think for the time being, for some 3 or 6 months, I think it should be given to somebody else, probably someone like a KL Rahul or Virat Kohli, because KL Rahul also has been the captain of the side, and when Virat Kohli had stepped down from captaincy, KL Rahul was the man leading the squad. So I think either KL Rahul, it could be Rishabh Pant as well, in fact, yeah. Rishabh Pant, KL Rahul, Virat Kohli, all three are in contention for the next, Test captaincy. I know you'd probably wonder that why am I mentioning Virat Kohli. I think the only reason he's still in the race is because the age and his fitness is on his side. Plus, he just scored 100 in this tour. Yes, he's been getting out in the same fashion, but he's had 100, and he's played that many balls where he sort of looked comfortable, but then that offside off stump thing happens every other innings and he gets out. So I think he's looked promising. He has showed you signs, and he has hit a century as well. So I think he's still someone you can bank on, and I think you'll continue to see him till the England tour at least. So that's why he's still in the race. But I think I won't be surprised if you see Jasprit Bumrah leading your squad if they manage to qualify for the WTC final in 2027. It's not a fitting end. We had high hopes from this Test season, and we had to win, I think, about 5 games. We won 2, we won 3, and we couldn't manage to win the last 2. And we've missed out on a WTC final, and it's the first time that India won't be participating in the WTC final. And I think India would have to wait 2 more years. And even if, I don't know, it's heartbreaking. You'd have your eyes on the Champions Trophy now, and the IPL, and then the England Test Series. I think those are the only 3 events I'm looking forward to. And I think if Rohit Sharma wants to redeem himself as a captain, I know he's terrific in white ball, but his performance in Test cricket has put some stains on his captaincy and tactics. So I think if he wants to redeem himself, Champions Trophy is a really good opportunity where every game is sort of a virtual knockout. So I'm hoping that he brings the Champions Trophy home. And yes, I think I'm looking forward to the next Test cycle. But at the same time, I know some harsh calls will be taken. You'll see a revamped squad, and yeah, I just don't know. It's a lot to take in at this point.